Hello, good day learner. Welcome back to my channel today. And in our lesson today, we are looking at inverse of a function. All right, so we have functions here. With these examples, I'll show us how to find the inverse of any given function. Please don't forget to like this video and then subscribe for more interesting and educative mathematics tutorials. See you in my next upload. And don't forget to share this video to your friend. Now let's look at what inverse function means first before we now go into the solutions. So whenever you have a function of x, to find the inverse of the function, f inverse of x is solving for x in that expression. We use y to replace the function and solve for x. That is, make x the subject of the formula. By the time you're making x the subject of the formula, you are solving with y. Now, at the end of the day, when you have found the inverse, you replace y with x. All right? With this example, you understand it better. So we have established that we are solving for x, making x the subject, replacing x with y. And then at the end of the day, we recall and also replace y with x. I'm sure that by the time I'm done with these examples, you will not have problems solving inverse functions again. So let's go into the examples. So for the first one, we have the function of x equal to this. Now replace it with y equals 1/2 of x minus 3. Okay, then we are solving for x, making x the subject. So the first thing I want to do is let me write it as x over 2, because 1 times x is x minus 3. Then take 3 to the left hand side. We have y plus 3 equals half, okay, x over 2. Then cross multiply so that we eliminate these 2. 2 multiplies this side. We have 2. 2 into y plus 3 equals x. What next? We already have x, so we have x to be equal to 2 into y plus 3. Remember that what we are looking for is an inverse function. So you tell us that the inverse of the function of x becomes, anywhere you see y, put x there. So we have 2 into x plus 3. And that becomes the solution. So this function is the inverse of this function. Let's solve the second question. So I'm going to be writing this as y equals 2x minus 1. All right, so let's make x the subject. Take 1 to the left hand side. You have y plus 1 equals 2x. Eliminate the coefficient of x. That is, we divide by 2, divide by 2. So that 2 will take care of 2. We have x alone. So x is equal to y plus 1 over 2. You now recall that we are looking for the inverse of the function of x. Right? So replace y with x. We now have x plus 1 over 2. So this becomes the inverse of this function. Let's solve the third one. To solve the inverse function of the third one, I will have y equals 5x minus 2. Remember, you can always replace f of x with y. So we make x the subject. So take negative 2 to the left hand side. We have y plus 2 equals 5x. Divide the both sides by what? 5, so that we eliminate the coefficient of x. That's eliminating. So we have x to be equal to y plus 2 all over 5. Having made x the subject of the formula, you now introduce the f inverse of the function of f of x and replace y with x. So you have x plus 2 all over 5. Now let me solve the fourth question. I will write it as y equals x squared minus 4. We are making x the subject of the formula. So take 4 to the left hand side. We have y plus 4 equals x squared. We are looking for x and not x squared. So let's eliminate the square on x by taking the square roots of the both sides of the equation. Now the square roots, we cancel the square so that x is now alone equals the square root of what? Y plus 4. Now our solution becomes the f inverse of x equals, replace y with x. x plus 4. And that is the solution for the fourth question. Let's solve the fifth question. To find the inverse of the function of that number 5 question, write it as y equals x plus 3 over 3x minus 2. So we are looking for a way to make x the subject of the formula. So the first thing I will do is to cross and multiply, right? So 1 times x plus 3 will give us x plus 3. Y times this gives us y into 3x minus 2. Then let's expand this bracket. X plus 3 is equal to y times 3x will give us 3xy. Y times minus 2, that gives us minus 2y. Remember, we want to make x the subject of the formula. So let's collect like terms in terms of x. That is, bring all the x together. So I'll take this guy to the left hand side. We have x minus 3x equals, take this 3 to the right hand side, minus 2y minus 3. Now let's factorize. X is common, so I'll bring x outside. If I remove x here, I have 1. Remove x here, you have 3y equals minus 2y minus 3. So what next do we do? Since x is now alone with the coefficient 1 minus 3y, divide the both sides of the equation by 1 minus 3y. Alright, so this takes away this. We have only x to be equal to minus 2y minus 3 over 1 minus 3y. Alright, so having achieved this, we are looking for the inverse of the function. So what do we do at last? We say this is f inverse of x. That's the inverse function of x will be, anywhere you have y here, put x. So this is minus 2y minus 3 over 1, sorry, this should be x now, 1 minus 3x. You can equally manipulate something here so that the negative goes inside. But the solution is very correct at this point. And that is it for the inverse of the function for the fifth question. Let's solve the sixth question and last before I'll give you an assignment. Alright, so to solve the inverse function of that last question there, you also write it as y equals 2x minus 1 over 5x plus 3. Let's find all possible means to make x the subject of the formula. So I would cross multiply. 1 will multiply this. This multiplies y. So 1 times 2x minus 1 gives us 2x minus 1. Now 1 multiplies these both guys. Y times 5x gives us 5xy. Y times 3 gives us plus 3y. Now the next thing we do is to collect like terms in terms of x. Bring all the x together. So you have 2x minus 5xy. This guy and this guy are same. Then take 1 to the other side. You have 3y plus 1. Since I have x here and x here, we factorize. This becomes 2 minus 5y. That means I've just removed the 2x outside. I have only these two guys remaining. Equals 3y plus 1. Now we have to divide the both sides by this bracket so that we can eliminate it and x will stay alone. So we say divided by 2 minus 5y, 2 minus 5y. So this cancels this. I have x to be equal to 3y plus 1 all over 2 minus 5y. Since we are looking for the inverse of this function, I am now going to write it as g of x, no, g inverse of x equals, anywhere you have y, put x, 3x plus 1 all over 2 minus 5x. And that is the solution. Thank you very much for paying attention to this point. I'll give you something to try yourself. So I have f of x to be equal to 1 plus x. Make x the subject formula. I mean, find the inverse of this function. Then number 2, I have g of x equals 1/2 x plus 4. And then lastly, I have s such that x tends to x plus 3 over 1 plus x. Find the inverse of that function. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like this video and then subscribe for more interesting and educative mathematics tutorials. See you in my next upload. And don't forget to share this video to your friends. Bye.